Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at you, Gloves Off, and today I have candidate Joe Brennan, who is candidate for state representative, District 42, right? 42. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
No. Thank you for standing up.
Yeah,
You know, everybody needs to stand up, and it takes guts to put your name down on that little dotted line.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but I decided that it's time in life that I need to quit talking about it and start doing something about it. I'm a firm believer in conservative values in this country. Believe in small government. The government gets too much in our lives. We need to get it out. I talk a lot about it. I talked a lot about all through the years, and I say, it's time to get up there and try to do something about it. Try to get your values put into action. We unfortunately, this entire country, has gone the wrong direction for many years. Ever since Ronald Reagan was our really last good president, in my estimation. And he, to a certain degree, tried to keep the government out of our lives. Prior to that, we had other presidents try to take more and more control. The states have tried to take more and more control. But we don't need the government to tell us what to do. We know better than anybody else what we need and how to do it. If they just let us do it, leave us alone. So that's the biggest reason I'm in here. I want to try to leave something for my grandkids. I have two beautiful little grandkids, 7 and 8 years old, and my daughters, my sons, and it's time for me to do it.
Absolutely. And when everybody always asks, because it's you're kind of asking for a job. You're up there presenting yourself. Would you elect me?
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. Let's talk a little bit about what does Joe Brennan bring to the table to Texas.
Okay, I've been in Texas about 30 years now. Came here from Arizona. I'm originally from Indiana. I went to Arizona, was in Arizona for 10 years and came over here. I've been in, frankly, I'm not a college graduate. I'm a tool and die maker by trade. Worked in what they call the maquila industry for 40 years. Helped build plants over in Mexico along the U.S.-Mexico border and helped to get them up and going. And then about 2008, I stepped back from that. And we have a small industrial supply house here in Laredo serving industry in Mexico and in the United States with parts for metal stamping dies. So business is my strength and problem solving. That's what I've always been known for in industries. If there's a problem, people come to me and, how do we solve that? So and we have a lot of problems to solve. And I think I have some good ideas of how we can take care of some of those things.
Absolutely. Like you said, there's a lot of problems to solve.
Yeah.
What is the biggest problem right now that you see Texas is facing?
The biggest one is, of course, border security right now. And that's not just Texas. That affects New Mexico, Arizona, California, and the entire country to a great degree. They talk about these immigrants coming across, and there are unfortunate people from different countries coming in here. But it's a known fact, and it's been shown time and time again that mixed in with those are some really bad elements that we need to try to keep out of this country. We don't need to try, we have to keep them out of this country. I have to give Abbott credit for stepping up to the plate when our present federal administration wouldn't. He actually sent the National Guard and the DPS down here to back up Border Patrol. And it's been very unfortunate that his efforts haven't been taken full advantage of, and there have been district attorneys in South Texas that have refused to prosecute some of these people that the DPS has picked up for criminal trespassing. That type of stuff has to stop. We have to have a safe community. We have to reinforce our police. I believe in the state of Texas, most of our police departments are fairly well financed and not too badly run. Some larger cities probably need some help, but that's going to be something I can have, maybe put voice of opinion on, but I won't have a lot of influence over. We do need to make Laredo stronger than what it is.
I agree with you with that. You know, when I grew up in high school, there used to be billboards around that used to say, "Let's keep the buck at Laredo."
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember those, but they used to be all over the place. And it was a kind of mentality that, you know, but why go shop somewhere else when we have everything here?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you start seeing people go to Austin, go to the outlet somewhere else, and we have an outlet center that's open up here, and and still people shop somewhere else. So we have to start. I think we have to take care of our own backyard before we can start taking care of something else. And I think that's where we have failed. And I think basically most of our politicians that are elected right now have failed, especially in the city, that they're not thinking about bringing in new jobs or bringing in companies that are going to fulfill these jobs. They're trying to get rid of them. Like right now, they're trying to get rid of a plant that's been around for the longest time, which they're saying it's polluting the air. But what happens to those 200 plus employees all of a sudden get a job offer because they're going to move the plant just across the river to Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, which they'll be happy to take. And they're going to employ people over there. We're still going to get worse pollution because over there's no EPA. So, you know, we have to start thinking logically of what Laredo really wants.
Yeah, well, Laredo needs more what I call good paying jobs. So people are in a sustainable wage that people raise their family on. When I was young, very rarely did the mother in the household work. Usually the father was out working, the mother took care of the house, and she primarily raised the kids. There was probably more family unity at that time. But as time goes on, inflation takes over. You got to the point, well, you know, maybe both of us need to work. So you go both get jobs. That's fine. You know, there are very capable women out there. I worked alongside an industry along with very capable women. My wife started a business that I help her with now. So women are very capable of working and everything, but it has to a certain degree separated the family unit. But there's been out of necessity in many cases because the jobs that are they're good industrial jobs used to be here in the States. Little by little, ever since 1962, they've been sending them overseas. I can remember when Kennedy cut the import tariffs by executive order back in 1962 on half on electronics goods. That was the end of the TV and radio business in the United States. And there were many people lost their jobs up in the upper Midwest. That was the start of it. It's been going on ever since then. Unfortunately, I participated in that to a certain degree by helping build these plants in Mexico. But the proper thing is for each town, especially Laredo, go out there. How can we work with the industry in Mexico? What can we put here? You know, we had a beautiful, I don't know how, I didn't really see it. People tell it was a very good test track just north of town. Uniroyal used to have it out there. And that would have been great. It's if we could have saved that and the city could have promoted that to somebody like Elon Musk or something so that he could set up a test engineering facility there. That would have been a lot of jobs could have been put in there. There's all sorts of metalworking products and plastic molding products that need to be used in the industry in Mexico. They can actually be made cheaper in the United States than they can be in Mexico. But they have to be made close to the border. It takes those cities to go out there and bring that industry in. Those are good industrial jobs. They won't be paying $10 and $12 an hour like the kids can make at McDonald's. Most of those are paying $20 and $25 an hour to their operators. And you have many engineers, and those are making $70, $80, $90,000 a year. Those are good paying jobs that a guy can really take care of his family with. Or the woman. I mean, there's women engineers out there also.
No,
good ones.
You're absolutely correct. There's a lot of great women out there that do great job. In fact, sometimes better than men. But in a lot of cases. But what I'm looking at is Laredo's kind of like imploding in itself. That's the feeling everybody gets. You know, the small businesses or we're not taken care of. They were basically destroyed during the pandemic. We've lost way too many. I remember driving with my son and daughter, and we're talking about this and what's going on, and we're just driving McPherson, just driving around. And I said, I want you to count how many for lease signs are out of business that are going on the right, and you count how many on the. Okay, there were 42. Just count McPherson. And when you look at that, and you kind of say, well, that's 42 jobs. 42 small businesses that are no longer here. Of course, there were some new construction, some. But in all essence, that's there used to be some signs there that were open that are no longer there. And if you still drive, they're still empty now. Yeah. And some of those businesses aren't going to come back. So it changed the entrepreneur. I would say the person that's it changed them because they have to adapt. If you were free thinking, you were an entrepreneur. You were going to change and adapt. You're going to change your business in a different strategy to keep it alive. Others just folded over and just forgot about it. And so we have to start protecting that. I think we need to pay closer attention to our small businesses as well, and from the state. The state has to help us, I guess, in that sense. We don't need to make a living off of the aid from the state, but the state has to help out, especially those businesses as well that they shut under.
What the state needs to do is, there's way too much waste in government spending.
Sure.
That is one of the heaviest loads on small business. Are the taxes and fees, primarily taxes. Property taxes, for example, they take a heck of a bite out of everybody. Huffines that's one of his planks in his platform is to eliminate property taxes. Hopefully he can do it. I don't know. And I'd like to be there to help try to accomplish something, or at least greatly reduce them. We do have to reduce taxes so that small business can survive, especially in tough times. We have to promote, and there are mechanisms out there that have not been implemented, or they've been misused, shall we say, that could be applied towards that. The other is there needs to be more promotion on the part to promote Laredo. If you look at Laredo, you go up north, the only thing you hear about Laredo, the streets of Laredo, they see all these terrible messages or notes out of how we have this influx of illegal immigrants and crime and things like that. But there's a lot of good things about Laredo. Laredo, to me, I've been fortunate enough. I lived in the Tucson area in Arizona, down on Nogales. Lived in Brownsville, worked in McAllen, Reynosa area. And I will tell you right now, unequivocally, that Laredo is the best city along the border to live in.
Oh, absolutely.
It has beautiful weather, climate. We're close. If you need a major hospital, we have a couple of very good hospitals here. If you really need some specialist or something, we're only 2 or 2.5 hours away from some of the best medical services in the world. It's only 2.5 hours up to I-10. You can go in from here. You can get any place you want to in the world.
Absolutely.
Very rapidly. So ideally, this is if people want to live and have a nice winter, not be shoveling snow today like they are up the upper Midwest. This is the place to be.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be that message needs to be spread across the country.
Yeah. And you grew up with snow over there in Indiana.
Yeah. I sure did.
We used to live in Louisville, Kentucky, and we had that snow as well.
I remember many a days that we couldn't even get the car started to go to the grocery store. We put on our parkas and our insulated boots and our long johns and walk down the grocery store for our mom to bring stuff back. So we'd eat for a couple of days. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's nice to see, but I wouldn't want to live there. That's why I have a friend of mine that's moving over here from France, and he says, "Where's a good place to live?" And I go, "You guys don't like snow. The French don't like snow." So, and he started laughing, and I go, "You have to either go down lower Midwest,
Yeah. It's like I tell everybody, my friends say, "Why don't you come back home? Come back here." And we thought we were battering each other on text messages on New Year's Eve. it was 26 degrees up there in my hometown, and we were enjoying, 85-degree weather on New Year's Eve. So I said, and you want me to go back there? No, thank you. I'm in the best part of the country right now, thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
So let's change the format just a little bit. What do you think about how the Republicans are doing now, in compared to 10 years ago? Here in Webb County, here in
Webb
Laredo.
County, I think we're doing a lot better. And I'll be honest with you, when we moved here in 1992, I couldn't even find the Republican Party. I was, there were a few people active. There wasn't any real publicity or anything. Didn't hear anything about the Republican Party. I actually looked around for them. And now you actually see them out there. There are people more openly going around and working within the party and saying, yeah, I am a Republican, which I think is great. And I think there's some people that need to be given credit for that. Bill Young, for one of them, he was the one that probably did a lot by just getting some signs out there along the highway, Republican Party headquarters during the Trump campaigns. And more people are realizing that the values of the people in Laredo and Webb County align more with the Republican Party than they do with the Democratic Party. More and more of them are saying that the Democratic Party left us. We didn't leave them. My wife is from Mexico, and people think everybody in Mexico is more left-leaning, socialistically and stuff like that. That's not at all true. The majority of the people in Mexico are extremely conservative. They want the government out of their lives. They want to take care of themselves. They want to be able to support their own family. And if you talk to the people in Laredo, and you talk to the fellow that's got the little food wagon out there in North Central Park, or something like lady out there, or these little people that have the little businesses they've opened up, or the fellow cutting the grass, the fellow, the electrician's help or something like that. They just want to make a decent wage. They want to make a decent living. They don't want the government telling them what to do. They are almost all of them, 99.9% of them are anti-abortion. They want to have some say in their children's education.
Of course.
And those are all true Republican values. And I think more and more, you're going to see more and more of those people coming over.
They're going to switch because, I've said this for the longest time. Laredo's very conservative in general.
It
Okay?
is. Yes.
In general. So, but since there was, like you said, since there was no Republican Party, people would actually vote Democrat. And they'll go out there and vote Democrat because they know the people here and they wanted things to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I used to, with Randy, he was a good friend of mine, I used to say, if they're not voting, there's nobody there, why don't you encourage them to get to know the candidates that are here, vote for the better one, because all I hear you all is complaining about how Laredo's being run, so let's start getting good people in. No, it's because they have to go to the what is it, the RNC, the party that they have up in Dallas and so on and so forth, the gatherings and so on and so forth. The conventions, and I said, well, you guys are shooting yourself in the foot. You guys are going straight Republican, voting straight Republican, straight ticket, for you guys to go to a convention, while you guys should be voting into people that live in your district, and they're voting Democrat and voting good people inside there that instead of quit the bickering, And we used to have that argument. And I said, hey, it's just the way it is. When in Rome, do as Romans do. But I'm glad that the party's now moving forward.
You'll see more of us. The RNC invested in a community outreach center on Jackman, trying to reach out to the community and make the presence seen here in Webb County. As you'll see, you've probably seen on or heard about, there's 7 candidates running right now for District 28 Congress, Congressional District 28. 7 Republicans running against basically three Democrats. Of course, they get past the primary, it's going to be 1-1. But that goes to show you there's a lot more interest in running in our district, in our area, as a Republican, and bringing those good conservative family values out to the forefront, trying to protect them.
And next week we'll have the debate for the Republican side of those that are running. So let's see. It's moving forward. I think it's moving forward in a positive manner, and I don't blame somebody if they want to vote for Democrats or if they want to vote Republican. Everybody has their own mind, their own opinion, and we'll protect them for that. But what I do say is, right now, I think it's a chance that it's going to start picking up.
I think so. Yeah.
And you're going to you start seeing 7 running. You start seeing more candidates running Republican. I think next election you're going to have a slate. Hopefully, in the city council election, we have Republicans step up and say, we want to run for the city positions, and all positions really. We should have a Republican running for every constable, every judge that's out there. We can't just go.
Yeah, there should be a choice for the people.
Absolutely.
Everybody should vote who they feel is the best candidate.
Absolutely.
But there needs to be a choice. There needs to be a difference out there.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, in the state of Texas, the local elections are all apolitical, so nobody has to declare whether Republican or Democrat. But above that, when you get to county positions above, they should declare. And historically, what I've seen, and I believe has been going on in Webb County, is that it's easier just not to declare and just to file with the Democratic Party, because people are afraid if they run as Republican, they will not vote for them. I don't believe that. I believe if you get yourself out there and name and honest with the people and tell them what you'll do for them, I think they'll vote for you whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. But hopefully they'll vote for me.
You said something about the city election. I think we should change the charter for it to be.
It'd be great. Yeah,
I think we have to.
Yeah.
I think we have to now and say, you know what? We have to. For the longest time, it was controlled by one side, and people were afraid. Like you said, people are afraid to say that I'm Republican and they're running Democrats. And you have a lot of Democrats out there that are actually Republicans that are running as Democrats here in Webb County.
Because it's easier.
Because it's easier.
It is. Yes, there are.
And if you look at if you know the candidates and the Democrats, excuse me for interrupting, candidates that are running and who's running, who's at, you see the more conservative towards some more that lean to the right and more that lean to the left amongst the Democrats.
Yeah.
It's funny to see that because you can tell which ones are more conservative right away.
And should probably be declared as a Republican. They should and hopefully, what I'm hoping that there will be enough people running for mayor and the city council seats in the election this year that some will actually say, I am a Republican.
Well, something about this year, because there's a lot of names being thrown out. There's people that are sitting in council saying that they're going to run for mayor. And if they leave, there's about, we already have 3 seats that are up for vote,
Yeah.
and plus the mayor, that's already 4.
Right.
But if you throw the other 2 candidates or 3 candidates are in there, you might have up to
Maybe 4
6,
or 5.
six or 7, maybe 8 seats that are going to be running for that. So
Yeah.
people don't understand that the importance it is, and we better have good people running for all the positions and people being ready to run for the position.
Yeah, we need, and that's where the party has to come in. I mean, we've been looking for candidates, but we do need to get out there as a party and look for more candidates to run for those seats, because there's a very strong possibility that at least be 5 city council members be up for election, because they can't keep their seat and run. So by August they will have to declare what they're going to do, and we have to have people ready to run on that.
And there's a possibility it could be 6, maybe 7, if those other 2 jump in and throw in the
There
names.
could be, yeah. Enough people getting afraid, more might want to join.
So it's going to be a good one. So Laredo needs to go out and vote. That's number
Yes,
one.
they do. And the people that are worried about election integrity and things like that, sure, there's things going on, laws can be changed, but the most important thing is every party, the Republican in my case, has to have poll workers out there. And they have to participate in the election process. They have to protect it. The elections in this country are not run from Washington, they're run from the county level. And it's up to the people in that county to keep their election honest.
And here's what I look at it. Yeah, there's some corruption going on. Yeah, there is. Can't say there's not. But I think it's coming in for the absentee ballots and the mail-in ballots. I think that's where the trick is at. I don't think it's in the actual ballots, them changing them or the computer changing them. I don't know about that. But I think it's more about when people can gather enough of the absentee ballots and sign them one way or another and then ship them off. I think that's where it's at.
And that's where laws can help control who gets an absentee ballot, what they have to go through. It used to be extremely difficult. In some states, it used to be extremely difficult to get a absentee ballot. You almost had to have an affidavit from the doctor saying you couldn't actually go to the polling station. We don't need to get to that extreme, but there does need to be more vetting of how those ballots are being handled once they leave the election commission office, get in the mail, and then come back, and how they're handled. But here again, the party has to participate.
Absolutely.
I mean, both parties, all parties. We have basically, there's 5 people on our election commission in Webb County. We have the Republican county chair, and Luis de la Garza. We have Bruni, the Democratic county chair, Tano, and then there are 2 county council members. I don't remember exactly who they are. But more people can actually attend those meetings. Party members can attend those meetings and voice opinions of how the election's carried out. I agree with you 100%. I don't think it's the machine itself. I think it's more the handling of the ballots, of the mail-in ballots and what have you. But all of it has to be audited. I would hope that the local election commission would voluntarily themselves publicly audit the process prior to start of early voting on the 14th. They should invite and publicize and invite the entire public to us to come in and say, okay, we're going to audit the machines, so that you can see that the machines are operating properly, that there's no anything nefarious going on with the machines. We want you to come in and see how we're going to make sure that those machines are working properly. And we're going to explain to you also how the paper ballots are handled, the mail-in ballots and the drive-ups and things like that. I would hope the election commission would come forward and publicly do that, so that everyone can see this. So we do have a good solid procedure in place here in Webb County, and I hope that more across the country would do it. It needs to be done nationally.
It has to. There has to be an audit, something with that. Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. Because that's exactly where the votes are stolen.
Yeah.
Or if there's any in that sense.
Yeah, if there, I don't know.
But we can only wish.
Yes.
We can only wish.
Well, no, I think we can be more active. I think it's up to us to get out there and be vocal about it, talk to people, and try to get groups. One person going down the election commission by himself and making an opinion, well, they may listen to it and they may not. But if you go down, if you get 10 or 20 people down there,
it's a different story.
Yeah,
You're absolutely correct.
And that's why the people have to participate.
And quit making things seem questionable. For example, you have the firemen's union. Okay. The firemen's union gives money out to all the city councilmen. I understand why. Of course, they want them to vote their way, and when the contracts come out, it's very simple. It's anybody does that, and you can do that. It's part of business. But who are the ones that are? Where's early voting at? Firemen's Hall. The ballots are there. And I'm not saying there's nothing nefarious going on, but don't make things look questionable that they're not. If the union is giving money, don't have the elections or for you to a polling place at a fireman's hall. Have it somewhere else. Have it in a school. Have it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
have it somewhere neutral that people aren't going to question it.
Are they actually, one of the polling places actually is the Union Hall?
No, it's actually the firemen, so,
The
it's city firemen.
Central
Yeah.
fire station. Yes, I would hope that nothing's going on there, but here again, it's there's judges that sit out at the polling places. And it's important that both parties have people there observing what happens to those ballots. Are they getting locked down? Are they being taken back in to Central? How are they being secured at that Central fire station? It's a nice building, it's a public building, so they probably consider it a relatively safe place, but yeah, I don't know. But I think the most important thing, the easiest one is, let's get people to participate. Let's get people from both parties there observing what's going on, making
Absolutely.
sure nothing nefarious is going on. And that's how you keep a good, clean election.
Absolutely.
You know, the corruption election,
It's there.
look at Tammany Hall. Look at how Daley ran Chicago for years. You know, you're right. It's nothing to do about corruption elections in this country. It's been going on, but if the people participate and will stand up for what's right, it's going to be minimal.
Yep. You know, there was a huge movement back in the 70s to remove an old mayor from here named Martin, and what people call the Partido Viejo. Well, yeah, they removed the head, but then all of a sudden it just splintered into a bunch of different groups.
Mm-hmm.
It went into the school district, and it went into the city and the different departments, and it went into the police and the fire. And it just, instead of it was all united under one front,
Right.
now you have a bunch of little Patron Viejo systems all throughout the city, and they've been going on ever since.
Mm.
And people say, no, it's over. It's still here. Still here and alive and kicking. But the only way you can do is vote them out. And people need to start voting people out.
That's how you do it. That's what our democratic system's about. Democracy is run by the people through the ballot box.
Absolutely.
It's not by setting buildings on fire in Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington, or Chicago like they did back in the 60s, and the riots, you know, the old riots in the 60s. And,
Well, we had that.
or
We had
or
it
that
2 years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. I mean, that organization, whatever they call it, all it is, those are actually run by what I call Marxist instigators. They're just trying to take control of a section for their own benefit. They're not trying to do anybody any good.
Absolutely. No, I'm in agreement with you.
You know,
Absolutely.
If people will just get out there and vote, and they participate in government, speak up when they see something's wrong, and try to help with the overseeing of all the government functions, city, county, state. I think we'll get back to what we used to have, and that's how this country started. The revolution was a bunch of patriots. The American Revolution was a bunch of patriots that were tired of the oppressive taxes and their homes being invaded by the British armies and things like that. They just stood up and said, look, enough's enough. You know, we are going to control our own government. And we have to do it in the school system also. The mothers and fathers of the children going to schools in all of our school districts have a right to determine what they're studying. Now, Texas still is fairly good. There are other areas in the country they're having their problems. And we just need to and that's one of the things I want to make sure that Texas does not go down that wrong road.
Absolutely. We can still save it.
Yes, we can. Texas is a great state.
Absolutely.
It is. It's the greatest in the nation right now, I think, in my opinion.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave with that. And folks, one thing, do your research on all the candidates. Go out there and vote. Once early voting is starting February 14th.
February 14th.
And you have 2 weeks on early vote.
That's right. And then primary is March 1st.
Absolutely.
Like to see all of you at the polling station.
Absolutely. Until next time, much peace.
Okay.